guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tony Fergie. I want to thank all my subscribers, the old ones, the new ones, the ones that just keeps coming back because you love what you hear and what you're seeing. Did you guys realize that there's still a war going on in Sudan? The Sudanese people? Yes. It's like we're so distracted with everything that's going on in Niger and everything that's going on in South Africa and everything that's going on in the Congo that we forgot all about our brothers and sisters in the Sudan. It never ended. And now all these Sudanese are stuck at the border, and now the UN is involved in trying to get them some help. You guys, please watch and please comment below, because it seems like there's a war every single place in Africa and we just don't know about it. Please watch this video.
The world has forgotten, with the focus shifting to Ukraine and Gaza. Do not miss this UN finding, however, that at least 14 million in Sudan children need assistance or support. It has been 10 months since war erupted between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. The war has claimed nearly 15,000 lives, displacing over 6 million people inside the country. More than 1 million people have fled abroad, mostly to neighboring Chad and Egypt, and several ceasefire agreements brokered by Saudi and US mediators have failed to end the violence. According to the Sudan Situation Report published by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, about 25 million people, including 14 million children, need humanitarian assistance and support. Sudan is facing one of the world's fastest unfolding crises amid the conflict between the SAF and the RSF. About 65% of Sudan's population lack access to healthcare, while 70 to 80% of hospitals in conflict-affected areas are no longer functional. According to the UN report, around 10,500 suspected cases of cholera, including 292 deaths, have been reported from 9 Sudanese states as of January 27th. With multiple disease outbreaks posing a growing threat in several states, including 4,650 cases of measles with 106 deaths, malaria and also dengue fever. The World Food Programme has warned that the ongoing crisis in Sudan is causing thousands of families to be displaced to Chad and South Sudan weekly. WFP says most people are trapped in areas of active fighting, where aid agencies are struggling to maintain consistent access.
People are leaving Sudan, fleeing Sudan because
well, the conditions here are extremely harsh. There's hardly any water, any food, any sanitation, any security, any shelter. It's also one of the most remote areas in the country. Thousands of people have crossed the border just behind me from Sudan. Many of them are vulnerable, many of them are traumatized. We've spoken to women, we've spoken to children and the elderly who fled the terrible violence and have spent weeks, in some cases months, trying to reach this border, trying to cross into South Sudan to reach safety. Hundreds of thousands of people have crossed the border from Sudan here into South Sudan and have been assisted by IOM, the International Organization for Migration, through onward transport assistance. Now, this assistance is absolutely critical because what IOM and other UN agencies don't want is for refugee camps to spring up in this location because it is so remote. There is no infrastructure, there are no hospitals, there are no medical facilities, there are no resources of any kind for those vulnerable arrivals to tap into. This onward transport assistance is absolutely critical to avoiding the situation I'm describing, and it has involved IOM putting on over 1,200 flights away from Rank into Malakal, the capital of Upper Nile State.
Their fighting is scrappy and ill-disciplined. But the militiamen of Sudan's rebel Rapid Support Forces are not without support. Their camouflage appears to be from the United Arab Emirates, their main backers. Their opponents, the Sudan Armed Forces, are also scrappy. But in the last few days, they've pushed the RSF out of most of Omdurman, in part because they're now reported to be getting weapons from Iran. Here's the Sudanese foreign minister meeting the Iranian president in early February. Weapons reportedly began to arrive in Sudan shortly afterwards. And here's the RSF leader, Mohamed Dagalo, known as Hemeti, flying around Africa in a UAE plane. Regional rivalry is enabling the factions to prolong the war.
They rely on foreign political, economic, and material support to wage this war. And the material support in particular has been key, for example, for the RSF to enable it to push forward. Now we're seeing that SAF's, Sudanese Armed Forces' reliance on the Iranian drones has helped them to push back against the RSF.
In Omdurman last Friday, people celebrated the arrival of the armed forces. When it controlled the area, the RSF was cruel and capricious, looting, raping, and causing widespread destruction. But is this really deliverance? The SAF also has a reputation for brutality. To the west in Darfur, civilians fear all armed men. We're disguising the identity of this woman, who fell victim to the RSF when they took control of the town of El Geneina. Her story is typical.
Why are we still going to the United Nations as Africans? That is a useless entity. It's not for us. The largest voting bloc in the United Nations are the African nations. We don't have a seat on the table. Why do we go there? We go to the United Nations to vote on their issues. They pay African countries, vote with us on this issue, vote with us on this issue. We have no business going to the United Nations, period. We need to tell Secretary Guterres, thank you very much, but we're no longer going to attend United Nations. It's not our entity until we have true representation.
Okay guys, what did you think? See, we're so distracted with other things that's going on. There's a little bit of this everywhere, a little bit of that everywhere, that we forgot all about our Sudanese brothers and sisters. Like all those children that are abandoned. Like their parents. It's like even the women that are being raped. Guys, this is really sad. But you know what? Mama Africa is getting it together. If she doesn't, we're going to hear more about these things. From West Africa, all the coups, all the wars, everything that's happening. Who do you think is pushing the Sudanese war also? Because things doesn't just happen. And all of a sudden we hear all these different rumors of who's behind the wars. But, who to blame? Because it is a blame. Anyways, y'all, thank you guys for coming back. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed yet, why aren't you? Anyways, y'all, got more to come. Know that Tony loves and appreciates you guys. Have a fantabulous day.